Welcome to the Own Your BS show. Today I have my co-host, Dr. Granville D'Souza.
Hi there.
It's a very great pleasure to introduce him because he is the CEO of EQ World with 8 offices globally. He's also the pioneer of EQ and Enneagram certifications in Singapore. And in fact, he was the person that I learned all of this from. And the third thing is that he's the author of 4 books, and the latest one being Influential Selling with the Enneagram, as you can see here. So welcome to the show, Granville.
Thank you very much, Cindy. Thanks for inviting me to this wonderful show.
I'm very glad that we are doing this. We've been talking about this for quite some time, and so much happened this year. So I'm glad that you're doing this as the last co-host in season 2.
My privilege, especially being the last of the season, right? You said season. Wow.
Yes.
So obviously there's season 3 and 4 and 5.
Yes,
Yeah.
and more to come.
Welcome.
Granville, I want to talk about how we first met because I think this must have been at least a decade ago. And at that time, I think I emailed you to say that I was inquiring about your EQ certification course, and you were super patient with me. We must have communicated over a couple of emails, right?
Yeah.
And then I took up all your certification courses, the EQ one, the Enneagram one, joined your community.
Resilience, that's right.
Yeah. And I think today, you're somebody whom I really respect as a mentor and also a friend that I really cherish.
Thank you.
Yeah, so to help our listeners and viewers get to know you more, maybe you could share with us what made you decide to specialize in EQ and Enneagram as a topic of focus.
Okay, really good question. And there's so many stories behind this. At least I would say the beginning would have been 1997. I came from one of the bigger training schools in Singapore or academies. And I'm not sure whether you faced this before, especially if you're in training. You go into a classroom, you do it for 2.5 years, 3 years, you say the same thing over and over again. And then there comes a time when the outside has to look excited, but the inside's all dying, right? So I was all dying inside, but I still had to pretend because I had nothing on my hands. I really did not know what to do. But I just went out on a limb and I decided, you know what, I can't do this anymore. Let me just walk away. That's what I did. Nothing in my hands. I told myself I have to find my purpose as fast as possible. So right from 1997, I really did not have much of a purpose. To me, it was just train, get the money, survive, feed myself, feed whoever I needed to, and move on. But 1997, I realized I needed to find something because I was going to go out on my own. And so what I did was go to Borders, the bookstore. And I told myself I got 2 hours to find my purpose. Could have been 4 hours, but I told...
You found your purpose in a bookstore. That's pretty amazing.
I told myself, where else can I find some purpose? So I just decided, let me walk into Borders and see where it leads me. But it did not take 2 hours. I was very lucky that I was at the right side of the bookshop, right? I could have started from where the clothes were. But I started where the books were in the self-improvement section. And lo and behold, when I started to get to the second aisle, I saw the book, Emotional Intelligence, Why It Can Matter More Than IQ. So I really like the title because one, I've always been someone whom I don't think I did that great in school. I was a really playful kid, but I like the title.
High five, man.
High five.
I literally didn't want to
10
study.
if you want, right? So I did not like school. I did not like studying in Singapore. But anyway, when I saw Why It Can Matter More Than IQ, then I told myself, okay, this is a book for me. Maybe my IQ is low, right? But what I found was much more than what I expected to find. And it was not about how smart you were. It was about the right attitudes you have to bring you much further in life. And so in summary, what I found was the most successful people in the world were the ones who had the right attitudes. And this model was about to show the appropriate attitudes one should have in order to be the best version of yourself. And if you practice this consciously, it would bring you far. That was a great promise, but it was more that when I read the first 8 pages, it gave me the hows. So that to me kind of woke me up, And then I went back straight away. I went to Google and I said, okay, EQ certification. There's only one. Only one in the world.
And not even in Singapore at that time.
Nobody was doing Singapore in the year 1990. Actually, it was about 1998, right? 1997 I left, but 1998 was when I found this. And nobody was doing it in Singapore, nobody was doing it in Asia, but there was one company doing a certification in the US. So that was the...
Was there already Google then?
Well, I searched. I don't know what I searched. I just found it.
1990 something.
1998, Now I'm getting, if anything, that could be give and take 1 year, but it could have been 1998, 1999, around there. So you're right about that. But yeah, around there.
You were pretty young then.
I still am.
I mean, they're in their
Just joking.
20s, right?
Yeah. Yes, I was in my 20s, you're right. So people can make their guesses right now. I was in my 20s, and that's what I did. So I just clicked it, and I found that the dates were 2 months away, and I went for it. And then, I was not earning. I had maxed out all my cards. I decided I'm just going to do everything possible to see where this is going to bring me. And that's what I did. Those 5 days were the most amazing 5 days I had during that period at least. And I brought it back to Singapore. So that really was the birth. And when I asked the CEO, so can I bring it to Singapore? He said, sure, you can go back and train in Singapore. I said, no, can I bring you to Singapore? And then we took it further. So that really gave birth to this whole EQ story of mine.
That's super inspiring. And for you, it kind of happened at a pretty young age,
Yeah,
right? In the
yeah.
20s, right?
Yeah,
I
in
mean,
my
for,
20s.
for a lot of people, this, midlife crisis, don't know what to do with themselves thing. I'm wondering whether it usually comes in the late 20s to the 30s when you start to earn a significant amount of money. You're pretty stable already, and then you start to ask yourself, is this it? Am I meant to do this for the rest of my life?
I mean, talk about midlife crisis. I know exactly when mine happened. So I'm not sure whether midlife is 40-something. For me, it was 45. But that was really, if you talk about, say, year 2000 when I officially started. So that makes what, 2000 and 15 years after the start of me starting that business. So it happened about, around 15 years after I really got out on my own. So that's when I know, and I really know what mid-career or mid-life crisis looks like, feels like, seems like. I had a very strong feel of it.
So you had the quarter life, and then you had the midlife.
Yeah, quarter life was more like desperation.
Yeah.
Let me find my soul. Let me find my calling. Yeah, and then not long after that was the midlife, which is maybe I had a lot of this. Is this my calling? Right? You get your calling, and you think you found it, and I thought I did, and I think I did, and then it's like, is this really my calling? Because maybe you had too much of it.
Yeah.
Right, and then you do something about it.
Even if I think about, the topic that we're talking about today, because it's like igniting your fire for changing your career. I was in corporate for 10 years, primarily in MNC sales and acquisition roles. And I kind of came to the point of time whereby I felt so jaded, so unmotivated. At the time, we had work from home already.
Yeah.
And I feel like I was just making use of that time to just sleep at home more than wanting to go out and look for sales. Money wasn't even motivating for me anymore.
Wow.
So I decided that, I'm going to jump ship. So I found another company which I felt I landed on a jackpot because it was another American MNC and they gave me a sign-on bonus. It was a couple of $1,000s just to join them. I get a sum of money.
Wow.
Again, work from home. It's a pretty swanky regional role. Boss was based in Australia, so nobody to micromanage me here. And I thought, wow, I struck jackpot. I joined this role. It wasn't a sales role, unlike my former role. So this was a regional project management role, and I thought that I could do it. But 3 weeks into the role, I started having visceral reactions every time an email pinged on my phone.
Wow.
To cut the long story short, I realized after 3 weeks into the role that I freaking hated the job.
Wow.
Hated it. It was a role that was super analytical, heavy problem solving, and it's very desk bound. And none of this is something I'm good at all. I literally felt like puking, sort of making a lot of excuses, not to even attend emails. So because of that, I decided to just quit.
We can shake hands again.
Yeah, shake hands again. And the horrible thing, so I was in a desperation mode as well. In this case, I was already in my 30s, probably early 30s.
Okay.
And I struggled so badly. My bank account was like hemorrhaging. I had to start brand new again because I decided I didn't want to go back to a corporate job at all because I already, jumping from we call one shithole to another, not finding a purpose. I did not know what was my purpose. All I knew was I cannot carry on like that.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was kind of my pivot, and it was very painful, right? So a lot of people ask, how do you pivot to, doing speaking training? I mean, we all went through the hard way. It was so tough, but I think when I look back today, I felt like I made a lot of very bad decisions in that sense because I struggled financially so much in the beginning. It took a hit on my self-esteem. I was getting married, no money, learn everything brand new. It was so tough. I'm not even that young anymore at that time. But if I think back about what happened today, that moment of desperation actually became like a change to the trajectory.
It's probably like a matchstick, it needs to light up something, within
Yeah.
you. Talk about desperation, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes it just pushes you to do what you really need to start doing.
Yeah, you literally really burn the boat and
Yes.
start brand new. So it was very, very tough. So if we get you to think back about your own midlife crisis, what was your moment of courage that made you go, enough is enough. I'm moving on, I'm moving out, I'm moving up.
Wow, you're evoking lots of feelings right now. Do I clench my fist right now? But feelings just suddenly came when you said, okay, what was my moment of change or shift or change of mind? When you give your life to a cause, and that's what I did, because I was so passionate about the subject, I gave everything I could. I just loved what I was doing. And then when it's not enough, I'm not going to say from whom or for what, but it's perceived to be not enough. At that point, I realized, okay, why am I giving so much of my time to something that does not belong to me? That's number one. Number two is, why am I building something which is not even mine? I could if I was really in a company, but I'm building something else. I'm building somebody else's brand. So while certain messages came to me from certain people, I also realized that I think I really had enough. And in that moment, I told myself, no, things have to change, right? And at that point as well, it was almost a decision. Not so much, shall I ponder over this one? Do I need a bit of time to linger on this thought? But no, it was bam. And I'm pretty impulsive as well. When the thought comes, and it's not just a thought. It was a thought that kind of also went down into my gut, and then my heart, whichever came first. Sometimes it's this or that.
Yeah.
And I told myself, no, it's about time. It's about time I get something which belongs to me. And that, I think that was fire. So talk about fire in the belly. I realized it was fiery. It wasn't just, let me deliberate, let me think, is this possible? No, that did not even come to me. It was, I must do it. So when that came, that was a message enough for me to move my ass, if you would like to say it, right? Yeah, so that was a message for me to move my ass and move fast. Yeah, because this field was really developing, and there were competitors coming into the frame as well. Yes, I just decided. And the other one was, believe it or not, of course, maybe our viewers may not want to hear this, but not like I see psychics, but I happen to have one from the past. And I said, okay, let me check in, right? I've got my own mind, I can trust my mind, but can I trust it sufficiently? And I just decided, okay, give it a shot. And my psychic said, you're not going to be in the same place, you're going to be doing all these things, traveling. And of course, people can tell you things and you go, yes. But then, of course, when you start to reinforce these thoughts by telling yourself, this is what I have, this is what I want to do, this is what I can do, then maybe those thoughts can be true. So sometimes you need a bit like a bomb.
A little push.
Yeah, a little push.
From a third person, who knows, right?
Whoever can kick your ass, even if it's a spirit or an angel, whichever, But that was, to me, the spirit that was needed to kick my ass. Yeah, and I had it from a psychic.
And it could come from anyone, it could be a neighbor.
Yeah, since it wasn't a human being, and then the psychic is a human being, but it came from a force or a spirit that gave me a good kick. It was a nice kick. Yeah.
And I guess to a certain extent, it was also because you took the step to go and ask somebody. It might be a psychic, or it could be, I'm just going to call up a friend or get a coach or something like that. The key here is to be open to other people's views.
Yes.
And to have somebody you trust that you can ask for some opinions on how they feel, right? Because, so I was just doing a little bit of research about people who consider a career change and people who actually do something about it within a year. So maybe a little quiz question for everyone, and also, Granville, feel free to be a part
Should
of
I
this.
answer? No.
Yes, that would be great. So
Okay.
approximately what percentage of people who consider a career change do something about it within the first year? A would be 18%, B would be 28%, and C, 38%.
Well, the straight answer to me comes to 18. Yeah.
You're right. 18% is the correct one. So apparently, I was just reading about this. So a couple of things that stop people: intention versus action. Right? I want to do it, but I don't really take action to do it. Yeah. So that's one thing. People think about it, but it might not take action.
Yeah.
The second thing is the common barriers are lack of confidence, financial concerns, uncertainty about the lack of skills. Yeah, so this is probably something you're facing as well. So the insight here is a lot of people find it hard to commit to a big change, which leads to then decision-making inertia. Yeah, so we see a lot of this around, right? When we do our trainings, we do our coaching, we know people are stuck in crossroads. They want to change, they don't know how to move forward. Simply too easy to just stay in the comfort zone.
Yes.
Yeah, so when somebody's stuck in a limbo, how do they go from passenger to driver in their own story and kind of like take control of their destiny, right? I mean, for you, you had that fire. So for somebody who is maybe not so sure, what do you think they can do to just take charge of this a little bit more?
Well, really good questions, man. Cindy, you're kind of rolling back the times for me, right? Whether good times or hard times, but you're really rolling it back for me. And I can talk about probably two areas which are essential. And purpose can be very esoteric, right? But it's so important to, you can drill it down to purpose. At the same time, sometimes when people say purpose is so lofty, then you have to ask yourself, what are you driven to do? You know, you see a lot of different either documentaries or programs that say you have to know what you're passionate about. So if I drill it down to, if purpose is too lofty, then what are you really passionate about? It has to start from there. I mean, having done my doctorate, I realized if I was not passionate about the subject, there's no way I would have taken all those years to research on the same topic. So if I look at a career, it's the same story, right? If you're not excited about it and you think it may give you lots of money, then it's not going to light your belly and move you the way it should. So first of all, know what you're passionate about. Don't think too much. Of course, is it in demand? But don't think too much about what it takes. As long as you're passionate about it, then there are many options. Go and take as many courses about it. Go and research about it. Go and ask the people whom you think are good at it. Most importantly, of course, if you have a career coach, that person can kind of lead you to that as well, right? Kind of join the dots for you. Because if we use our minds alone, can you imagine a thought that kind of brews in your head and it circles and circles and circles, and that's just your brain. So how much of wisdom do we have versus the wisdom, the collective wisdom of the people whom you hang around with or the people who are around? So to me, no man's an island. I think we do it alone, then that's where we're going to struggle. And imagine you got this skepticism that skepticism is just going to attack that so-called enthusiastic brain. So best to have someone to bounce it off, give you some enthusiasm, give you some stimulation, give you some options. So in short, don't do it alone. Know your passion and move. Take the first step. Don't ever, shall I take the first step? Shall I take the second step? Just do it. Just do it.
So this is interesting, right? About this idea of passion. We have also heard people say that, hey, passion cannot make money. And I thought it was very interesting. I once heard 𝗁𝗫𝗃 said something like, your passion is for yourself, your purpose is for others. So if somebody says, hey, I've got passion in playing soccer for the rest of my life, I think we all know somebody who wants to do that.
Yes, all right. Let's not disturb the person in public.
Like, I want to be Miss American Idol. Okay, I'm not saying that that's wrong, right?
Possible.
But the reality is that,
Yes.
I mean, we might have passion in something that I'm not sure if I say this, I'm like pouring cold water, but sometimes in reality, certain things might really just not be what we see it to be. We could be wearing rose-tinted glasses, right? So we need a little bit of a reality check there.
Yes.
So how could people think about this?
Really important follow-up question you asked, because then, and this is not new to many of our viewers, and that is about the ikigai, right? And I'm just going to talk about three parts. One is, what are you passionate about? Is there demand? And does it pay? So these three parts to me are essential, because you can love what you're doing, right? But if nobody wants it, then you're going to do it alone, right? If you love what you're doing, and there's some demand but it doesn't pay much, then you're going to be struggling and you're going to be broke.
Love what you're doing, is it in demand, does it pay?
Does it pay, right? So there's these three parts. And of course, if you want to, if I can add on ikigai and make it 𝗂𝗃𝗃 or whatever, I'll add, is this something you've got an ability in as well?
Are you good at it?
Are you good at it? So you have a passion, and then are you good at it? Now, if these four click, then why not, right? But if one of them doesn't click, you really have to think, is it going to be in Singapore? Is it going to be elsewhere? Maybe there's not much demand in this country, maybe somewhere else, maybe Malaysia, next door, Bangkok, why not? So these are the realistic questions we need to ask ourselves. And I think if we don't, then you could be floating like, you could be gliding somewhere in hope, crossing fingers, toes and thumbs and whatever you want to do, and still waiting. So one has to be realistic, in short.
Absolutely. I love that ikigai framework, right? Because a lot of us don't really think about it. So what is your, sorry, again, could you repeat so that
what you love?
What you love?
Yeah.
What is in demand?
Is it in demand? Does it pay?
Does it pay?
Are you good at it?
Are you good at it?
Of course, that's very subjective.
Correct. Because you could be rating yourself very
that's
good
right.
at
You
this,
think you're
but nobody
fantastic
thinks
until
so.
everyone says you suck, but it's okay. As long as you like what you're doing, that's fine. Just go with the flow.
That's why getting a coach and people you trust is so important, right?
A coach who's willing to put you, put you on the line. Right? And, yeah.
So this is really interesting. So after you think through this, okay, I think there's also this very big part about, just hearing your story. I'm very glad we captured your story in my book.
Yeah.
A little shameless plug here. So Granville shared his story in my book, and I think a big part of it is you really having that self-belief. Because we might be super talented and this might be in the market, but some of us, we just innately might not be that strong in our self-regard or self-belief, right? Like everything is out there, but we are probably our own ceiling to that whole thing. And if I think about my own experience when, I was diagnosed with a vascular necrosis at the age of 25. And because I had so much pain in my legs, because it was a degeneration of my hip joints, I couldn't work for 1 year.
Wow.
So that 1 year was like time came to a standstill. At that time, I had just left the airline. And then I joined a corporate job for a while. And then shortly, I just had to quit because I couldn't even walk properly without pain. And that 1 year was kind of like time off to decide, hey, what I want to do to treat myself. Do I have to go for surgery? Just because it was affecting my mental and emotional. I was just crying every other day because in pain, not just physically, but also like grieving that I could possibly lose my legs for the rest of my life. That was actually what the doctor told me. He said, you have to be prepared to start living in a wheelchair. He told me that. So I was like taking that 1 year to just decide what I would do. The horrible thing about this condition of mine was that the pain is unpredictable. So today, maybe the pain is not so bad. I can still like go out and go to the mama stall to buy an ice cream. We used to have those mama stalls, right? And tomorrow, the pain could be so bad that I cannot even stand.
Wow.
This was how polarized it was, extreme, So what it meant for me is that I cannot make plans for my life. I can't say that, hey, tomorrow I want to go out and meet my friends because I don't know if I can freaking walk tomorrow or not. It was that bad. And I remember there was one time, one of those days when my legs was feeling better and I had a boyfriend then, so we went to the airport. We decided to go there and have lunch, And the airport is always a very memorable place for me because I used to be an aircrew, right?
That's right.
And I think we went to Swenson's or something like that. One of those cafes. We're having a good time. I don't know whether is it because I sat too long. After that, I stand up, I just couldn't walk.
Wow.
I could not walk. Like every time I put weight on my hips, it was almost like somebody is taking a knife and cutting off the nerves, I would just like primal, it was so painful. But I had to walk, right? So my boyfriend then literally had to, I wouldn't use the word carry, but totally support my body weight and dragged me back to the car park.
Wow.
Car park. And Singapore's airport is huge. Walking such a long distance, and as I was walking, I started perspiring. Strangers started looking at me and I started tearing at the same time. And all the thoughts start coming to me. Oh my God, Cindy, you used to glide in these floors with your airline uniform. Now you cannot even walk. You used to be able to buy fancy things for yourself. And now, you have to rely on your family just to get by. Well, I still remember that so clearly. But I think one of my takeaways from that experience in my life was that my self-regard was totally latched to all the external elements. So when all of that is taken away from me, I'm just left with absolutely nothing.
Wow, that must have been a really scary thought for you.
So scary, and I realized that I had to build my self-worth and self-belief from inside,
So was that the moment you decided, I need to do something? Or what do I do?
I think that was the moment I decided that I'm nothing.
Wow.
Because I had nothing. I literally had no money, no career, no titles.
Yeah.
And now I cannot even walk as a normal person. I'm only below a normal person, right? But it was also the time where I spent a lot of time connecting with God, back to my spiritual self, building my worth from scratch.
Wow. Well, you found yourself, and yet there were many questions at the same time.
So many questions. And it took years, right, for me to even build that worth again. You know, who are you without your legs, without your job, without anything?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so for me, I feel like that breakdown was a breakthrough in that sense, right? So I just want to talk about this a little bit. You know, how can we help people see crisis as an opportunity? And for me, this took years, right? Yeah, it was such a painful journey, but I'm honestly quite glad I went through it. Yeah, because I can still wear heels.
That's right.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts to that?
For me, I just have to pinpoint which crisis because there have been quite a few. I mean, along the way, I've been in business for 30 years, right? And the last 30 years, I can pinpoint some of the major crises. So it depends which one I go back to. So one of which I would think was when I really had to give up to me, a brand that was doing very well, right? And that brand would sell very easily. I just have to advertise and people would come. And of course, partnering with a brand from America, a Singapore brand with an American brand, of course, that was really very helpful. And when I know I had to lose it, did I have the confidence, did I have the esteem, did I have all the resources for me to build a brand which is now going to be local? And I had to make a fast decision. First of all, I'm in the midst of this. Do I tell myself, give it up and start something new? Or do I tell myself, I've got all the resources available for the last whatever number of years, and do I make the best of it? And of course, I made that decision, and I moved very fast. Told myself there's no time to waste. So back to having the self-confidence and believing in yourself. Now, we can't just click our fingers and say, okay, you need to have the self-confidence.
Yeah.
It's almost like someone saying, Gran, have the self-confidence, and you can't just use your magic wand and there you are.
Exactly.
Right? And yet there's no special pill you can swallow and have that self-confidence. But I think there's a practical way. Know what you have, know what you've done, know how much effort you put in, and then find the right people to make it work as well, right? So to me, I looked at what I've done, what I've built, what else I need to build, and go for it. So I took very practical steps, right? Yeah, and that's what I did. I started to build, put in a lot of work. Anyone who's doing well and they say, hey, lucky guy, seriously, it kind of pisses me off because there's no lucky guy, right? Yeah, luck can fall on certain people and their periods. But if someone is doing pretty okay, he must have put in a lot of hard work.
Yes, for a long time, and people think that, oh, you are so lucky, but they don't see the shit that we all go through,
they don't see
right?
the shit. So I realized there was a lot of hard work to put in. Yeah, and of course you can't do it alone. I don't have the right capacity to think about certain things which I knew I could not but needed. So bringing on people, taking risks, monetary risks, right, financial risks, and putting it all together.
Yeah.
The other one, just as an add-on, is, I mean, this book written also definitely changed my life, because why Enneagram allows me to see where my strengths are, where my weaknesses are, and based on where the weaknesses are, I better plug it, right, and get the right people to do the things I know I can't do. And I was very fortunate then. That's where I think luck came, and the right people appeared in my life, And if it does not, then you have to go and search. There's no such thing as going desperate and saying, I don't know what to do, I can't do much about it. There's always a possibility, whether you go out there and take it by the handles and move with it, or you search for it. Sometimes they're there and sometimes they're not. So if they're not, search for it.
It sounds like there's a lot of grit to it, if you think about it.
Oh yeah, a lot. I mean, resilience.
Self-belief is so strong. I think I struggled with that for a long time, to be honest, when I think back. Yeah, so thank you for sharing that. I mean, it's getting me to also reflect on myself, and I'm sure the audience is also reflecting, right? How much of a self-belief and grit and resilience do you have?
That's right.
That even when things might not be 100% in its perfect condition, you still take the action.
And it's never 100%.
Yeah, it's never 100%. When you did that pivot to give up that brand, did you feel that it was, you have to start brand new, or you already had some level of success and networks? And
it wasn't brand new. I then relied on all the clients I had during the period I held that brand. And I realized I could still build something with that brand. And roughly that was around the time we met.
And we didn't really even have much of a social media. It wasn't that strong.
It wasn't existent.
So it was phone calls.
That seemed like 2011, 2010, So it's about 15 years ago, around 15 years ago. Yeah. And I never thought about social media at all. It was, I don't know what kind of publicity when I look back. It was definitely word of mouth, advertising, newspaper advertising still, can you imagine? And that was when things were also shifting, because why the people who were advertising and doing well were the courses that would make you more money. Property, stocks, shares, things like options, trading. Yeah.
So you had to go out and build a network. Huh?
That's right. And there was some, I think there was Facebook. Yeah, there was.
There was Facebook.
There was Facebook, right?
2010, 2011.
Yes. So there were bits of that. And of course, word of mouth and emails, Googling and, that kind of stuff, Yeah, advertising on
So
Google.
powerful, so powerful. So we always say that, hey, network, there's a season for it, right? You might
Yes.
think that you don't need it now, hey,
Oh,
but there
yeah.
come a point of your life where you realize that, oh my God, I should have
Yeah.
built it earlier.
I mean, I've noticed things where you can put in a lot of effort and nothing happens, and then there are years where you hardly do much and then it happens. So ride your luck when you think it's there and capitalize on it fully.
Thank you for sharing all of this. You're getting me to think a lot, right? So even as I think about my own midlife crisis, and I had a couple. I'm always having crises, by the way. from 17 years old, I already started having crisis.
Oh, that's what makes you
always
strong, Cindy.
Struggle with this thing about what's the purpose of this? What's the meaning of this? And if something does not click with me that way, after a while, I just get like, why am I doing this? I don't like it. Yeah. So then I just want to talk a bit about taking a risk, because when we step into something new, there's always this thing about risking ourselves. And for people who are in corporate for a while, for them to assuming they want to step out, or maybe they're part of another business, they want to branch out to do something of their own, there's always a risk, right?
Yeah.
So they ask themselves certain questions. And for me, that time when I was in the middle of the crisis and still in the struggle mode, I would actually look back at my colleagues, and that horrible narrative, that commentary that came to my mind was like, look, Cindy, if you had stayed, you'll be earning that same amount of money, right? You will be happily supporting your family, but now you're struggling to even feed yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at where you are now. You're struggling, girl. You're stupid. Okay, there's one end, there's that. And then there's the devilish questions. And then there are also the other set of questions, which would be, what is the cost of not making a change?
Yeah.
Yeah, what is it costing you? And for me, I felt like the biggest part of why I decided to take a risk was because this thing about not taking action was making me respect myself less.
That's interesting.
It's like, you owe it to yourself, Cindy.
Yeah.
If not now, then when?
Wow.
Okay, you say that you're not young now, but what if you get even older, right? I mean, of course, it's never too old, but if not now, then when? And I remember that I told myself, if you don't do anything, if you don't even try, you will end up despising yourself.
These were good voices you had.
Yeah,
And I'm
so I
glad
had
they were
those
loud
too.
enough.
Yeah, so thankfully the more helpful one won.
Were
So
loud
I,
enough.
I once heard a quote by Seth Godin,
Yeah.
and he says the cost of being wrong is less than the cost of doing nothing.
Wow.
And that really spoke to me. So for me, the risk wasn't in just moving forward. The real risk was getting into depression because I was doing nothing.
So your pain ignited some fire as well.
Yes, ignited some fire. I think it was just this thing about being stuck in the same role, not really getting any growth. No inspiration, no growth, no advancement. And it's horrible, right? And then I left and then I came back. So there was all of that. I started to kind of like despise yourself really. So it's like, no lah, Cindy. At least you need to respect yourself, right? So what can I do? When someone's at a crossroad, okay, how can we find the courage to take a risk?
Back in 2000 and probably 12 or 13, I was hosting Jerry Wagner. So Jerry Wagner, of course, is my mentor. I've got two. I've got Ginger and I've got Jerry. And Jerry is a really humble, nice man. And I think he was telling me things like, Gran, it's getting a bit difficult to come to Singapore. He was like probably in his late 70s. And, at that point, I'm just going to keep the story short. At that point, I said to myself, let me try and be a bit of a 𝘁𝗶𝗀. 𝘁𝗶𝗀, or a bit of a thick-skinned dude. And I just said, so maybe you should pass me the baton. And I just went like that. And he said, yeah, maybe I should. And I chose not to see that as a joke. And I said, really? He said, really? And I pushed it. And he said, yeah, let's start as soon as possible. I was like, wow. But of course, then ahead of you is a bit of an uphill battle, right? I don't know much. I'm not an authority. You've been doing this for 40, 50 years. I'm no one. But that's when you take the baton as well and run with it and do whatever you can. So in short, how I translate this to a potential lesson for everyone is, you never know when your opportunities could arise. And when they're there, you better take it fast. So let me give you a parallel story that happened to my class. In fact, this just came to me in my class just 3 weeks ago. This person was in my class and this person is really wanting to leave their job. And then I said, okay, shall I coach you in class for you to be a subject for the rest to watch? This person, and I said, you never know who's in the class. And he said, yeah, and he said, you never know. I said, yeah. So we went on, right? That coaching session lasted about 45 minutes or so, and someone was listening, and that person said, hey, right after the class, the person said, hey, I think you should apply for a job in my company because they're looking for someone just like you. And I told him, I said, when I said you never know, I never knew that person was actually in the class itself. And straight away, he had this big opportunity. And of course, it's igniting some opportunities for him right now. He's gone for the interview and he's still waiting for the response. But so back to this one, you never know when the opportunity is. Strike while the iron is hot. Don't wait. It can be anyone. Just be a bit of a busybody. Try your luck and do it. The most important thing is action. Just do it. No time for face and, embarrassment and shame. Nobody's going to care. Tomorrow they're going to forget. But you are not going to forget your opportunities that come your way. So yeah.
So I think the point of this is to have a bit of courage and allow yourself to be a little bit shameless. Right?
Oh yeah. And maybe we should not call it shameless. Because the label shameless makes us feel like we are shameful.
That's part of my tagline. Shamelessly sharing my BS.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So that's a good tagline, right?
Courage. Maybe that sounds like a better word.
That's a good reframe. Courageous shamelessness. How about that?
Yeah, I love that. I think this thing about just putting yourself out there, right? And to say, you know what? I am going to ask a question.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask a question. I am going to network. I'm going to try this. And even if it puts me in a very uncomfortable spot, I'm going to try and do it.
Yes. And that opportunity he had would open up more opportunities because then he knows, even if it doesn't go right, again, I don't have the news yet, but even if it does not go right, he would know what that employer would be asking him and what's required of him in the next one. And so every opportunity lays open a new wisdom and new insight for you to make use of it and go on to the next one, right? It's always a stepping stone.
Yeah.
So just do it. I mean, I love that Nike part. Not like I really love the brand, but I love that slogan, right? Just do it. So just do it.
So for somebody who has got less fire in their belly, okay, so this person, okay, let's go to like the problem solving part.
Yeah.
Yeah. This person comes to you and say, okay, Gran, I'm stuck in my job. I'm not growing. I really, really need money to feed my family because I've got 2 kids. Yeah, my wife is a stay-home person.
Yeah.
I want a career change, but I really don't know how to get started.
Okay.
Yeah. I've got some ideas, but, not too sure. What will be the first 3 to 5 steps you think they can take?
Yeah. You would probably want to find a career coach, right? And I think
these days it's very affordable to get a career coach.
It's not
right?
it's expensive at all. In fact, you just go and search on Google and LinkedIn, that's right. It's everywhere, right?
We roll our
Compare
eyes
prices, right? Bargain a bit. You never know who you're going to get. And of course, you can do the sussing out on the phone, right? If you're comfortable with this person. And to me, I think this part about asking questions, right? When someone asks you the right questions for you to think, you can't do this alone. You can. Of course, you can. You can even now chat GPT a good set of questions and go and do your journaling. That's another shortcut if you want to save money and do it yourself. But I think this person is there to push you, measure some of the aspects and ask you the questions which you probably may not ask because the problem is too close to yourself. So you need the resources out there, right? Now, that together with knowing roughly where your strengths are, right? So awareness, practice a lot of awareness through different tools, know where your strengths are, where your limitations are. And then ask yourself through a series of different questions, if I had to do something which is either similar or different to what I'm doing right now, what could it be? I mean, you can't just leave it to the career coach. You have to ask a series of questions and see what's an area I might want to go into. At least those 3 steps will allow you to get closer to where you potentially can be. And of course, look out for the job market. And I don't know how many steps there were there, but basically these are just nuggets. You have to get yourself out there, right? Talk about courageous shamelessness again. Have you done your CV? Have you spoken to people? Have you let the right people know about it? And see where that goes. I got another story. I had 2 people who once approached me. One guy was desperate for a job. Another guy was also desperate for a job. And one guy, in short, said, I'm getting so many opportunities, I don't know how to reject them. The other guy was saying, I'm just getting like one opportunity every 2 weeks, and I don't know where my opportunities are going to come again. And this first guy told me, I'm sending out 10 resumes a day. So it's also effort, right? 10 resumes a day, and then he goes to the reception area of buildings in Shenton Way just to see what companies there are which suits his fancy. Wow. He's putting a lot of effort, right? Now, some people say that's foolish because how are you going to get to the contact numbers of the right people? And he said I would go to the offices and ask the reception for the HR manager's name. So talk about Either you can call it desperation or you can call it hard work, right? So now I know we were supposed to talk about steps. For me, it's like all the
No, but
steps.
I mean, these are great examples, right? It's practical things that you are doing, going and looking at the directory,
Yeah.
stepping into and asking for names. This is not something that most people will be so willing to want to do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because you can choose to stay at home and lay on your pillow and think like, what's my next move? And then that could take days before your next
Or
move
keep going
comes.
to the same website.
Exactly, right? And that's patterns. When you're on the computer, is that what we do? Facebook, LinkedIn, email, Facebook, LinkedIn, email. It's just on over and over again once you stay at home. There's no ending story.
Thank you so much for sharing. I'm really enjoying this conversation.
Well, I hope it's helpful to our viewers, just in case you're in that position. Believe me, these are coming from practical steps, and I believe many of them have worked as well.
Yes, yes, yes. I love that. So, this conversation has been so rich and meaty and full of stories, okay? But now, we need to get to know you better.
Whoopsie.
All right? So, I'm going to be asking you 5 different quick fire connection questions.
Okay.
Yeah, and what you have to do is for every question, we're going to aim for you to try and answer them within 5 seconds.
Sure.
All right?
And I don't think I've been prepped for this one at all. Just
Yeah,
like the rest.
so this is meant to be like
Right,
super
quick fire.
impromptu, okay?
Okay.
Question number 1. I think that I know this, but I'm going to ask you. What are your favorite songs to play during training, like your playlist?
Wow. Okay, so if people are doing reflection, the problem is I love classical music, but people hate it.
Okay.
So there's this 𝗵𝗫 is the common one, right? But I like the new agey stuff, when it comes to with the Chinese violin, what's the violin or whatever it's called.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, some of that. And then the sitar a little bit. Funky, new agey mixture with some foresty birds chirping.
Really? You know what I thought you were going to say?
What?
Dirty Dancing.
By the way, I love that whole soundtrack. It's like the
Me
best.
too.
So maybe dirty dancing when it's time to dirty dance.
Because I remember quite a few of our certifications, I think you played
Yeah,
them. I'm
yeah,
like,
you're
we're
right.
really enjoying it, but
It's a
people
tough
of our
one because
era.
I like so many different genres, so that's a tough one. Yeah.
Number 2, we've been doing like training and all that for such a long time, right? Okay. And I've attended so many of your trainings and courses, and I've always really loved your stories, okay? So, second question, what's the weirdest compliment that you have ever received that you secretly love?
All right, this one I'm just going to be totally vulnerable. That I secretly loved. I can't say I loved it, but then when I think about this character, I think I can like him a lot. They say, hey, you're so like Mr. Bean. Damn, I'm really
Because of
exposing
your
my-
eyes.
My eyes, the other one is my gestures and my head moved like that. I thought, oh damn, really? But okay, he's brainy.
Actually, it's important to be pretty entertaining. I feel like for us as speakers and trainers, because these days, content and all that is just so out there, right? So one of the things that we really have to do is to be able to not just teach, but to be able to entertain, edutain at the same time. And you have that for
And
sure.
the thing is with this Mr. Bean thing, it's happened like 3, 4, 5, at least about 5 times. And I really started to look at myself in the mirror and think, damn it, really?
The more charming version, okay? Not the cartoon version. Okay, number 3. You probably have said that earlier. Okay, what's a career or business move you made that everyone said was stupid but turned out brilliant for you?
If I can just put training aside, and I think it was starting an Amazon business. Yeah. And I
You
did
have
it.
one.
Yeah,
Okay.
I had one.
You had
it,
one.
It lasted for about probably 2 to 3 years, and I started with a business partner as well. And I think she was amazing in terms of the effort she put in. But things started to change. Things with Amazon can change a lot. But yeah, just doing that, and of course, an online business to me, getting passive income every day, who would not want that? So that was a really wonderful outcome. And then you need to really monitor it. And of course, when you got 2 or 3 different vocations, it gets too
It's
difficult.
hard, right?
Yeah.
It's hard,
so
right?
that was a really good business.
That was a good business,
Oh,
but you felt that you just didn't have enough time and bandwidth to prioritize that.
It was always moving in different directions. And at some point when the direction kind of shifted a little bit, not so much our direction, but Amazon's direction. Because if you don't keep doing certain things, that's
Or
when
like
they're
the
going to
algorithm
take
changes,
you out and push you into a different category, and that's when all the numbers started to drop. Yeah.
So you need to actually even have the time and energy to take care of
That's
that.
right. And I think that one's a full-time business, and that became our part-time business. and then no time business. We kind of gave it up.
That's how I feel with social media, actually. You know, I try and do a post. At one point, I was posting 2 to 3 times a day. A week, I mean. But after a while, when the algorithm changed, I'm like, girl, you don't have the time and energy for this.
Yes.
You've got to do what you need to do, which is my main thing,
Yeah.
like the training and speaking. And then you want to spend time on this. How much is it going to cost you? So that's an important question to ask ourselves as
Yes.
well.
I think certain things you definitely need to be on it full time. Because commitment will get you to see where it works, where it does not work, right? Yeah.
Okay, what's something you love and struggle with about your Enneagram personality?
My Enneagram personality,
Yes.
which is Enneagram, shall I say it?
Yeah,
Enneagram type 7. Oh, there's so much. This one is, it is easy and yet difficult to answer. What I love about the Enneagram's type 7 is joy and optimism. I think for us, it's always possibility, possibility, possibility. Next, what else? Now, the challenge with that is our short attention span, right? It's like, it's possible. And then it's like, hey, what else is possible? And then I don't spend enough time to follow through on certain things. But the stimulation is always there. But the stimulation is always happening. I wish I could follow up on all of them, but the attention span is not long enough.
But it keeps you excited, it keeps you passionate.
Yeah, well, that is the bane as well. And it's a great opportunity to always have lots of different thoughts, ideas, and energy to do it, right? But I wish I had energy to really follow up on all, and that would make it very complete. Yeah, but now I just can't have everything, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, the final question.
Yeah.
What's one risk that you are considering taking right now?
It is definitely still within the business itself. I'm going big on AI, and to me, the opportunities are endless with AI, right? Where I used to write a lot on profiling instruments, I believe now the whole training business can multiply with AI. You know, rather than having your face in one class, now your face can go in many classes, or the whole world has access to you, as opposed to a group of 20, 30, 40, 50 people having access to you. So this is where I think it's going to take on a new dimension. And I'm pretty excited about it. So a lot of my effort is going there. Yeah, my passion to be in the classroom is lessened, but my passion to build a business has definitely grown. Yeah.
For it to multiply and compounding returns.
Oh, hopefully.
All the best. We should talk about this when we catch up. Yeah. Thank you so much, Gran. It has been
You're
so
welcome.
fun, honest, hilarious, and very real and raw at the same time. I feel like I'm really having a very natural conversation with you.
Thank
So
you.
where can people find you?
Okay, well, if you want to find me, right, we can always use an email, Granville, GRANVILLE @EQWorld.com. LinkedIn, I'm there. Facebook, I'm there. My books are not in Kinokuniya for certain reasons.
Where are they?
In my home?
In my home.
No. Well, I don't put it in bookshops for certain reasons. So if you're writing a book and you want to get some advice on that, I can also share. But my books are with me. I do self-publishing, and there's a reason why I do self-publishing. And so are my other 3 books as well. So yeah, I mean, that's where you could find me.
Superb. And I have
EQWorld.com is
all
the
of your
website
books.
as
Yeah,
well.
EQ World. Yeah, I think that was the first website I went to
Yes,
10 years
that's
ago.
right.
Thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome.
To everyone watching, here's my question for you. What's one insight you've taken away today? And what's one action you're going to embark on? So remember, as we think about igniting your fire for change in your career and business, it's really about asking yourself good questions, talking to people, and having the self-belief to move forward. So I'm Cindy Tien with the Own Your BS show, and I'll see you in the next episode.
Good questions. And I think there was good banter, and we just continued, right? That's just like our lunches.
Yes. About what? About pain. Every time we go out for our meals, we just talk and talk